Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of the Absolutely Not podcast. I'm your host, Heather McMahan. Hope you're having a great week. I'm very excited to bring you a little bonus episode, which is an audible sweet treat, if you will, to tickle your ears and make you giggle while you're running around and chasing your kids or, I don't know, organizing your closet or, hell, jerking off, doing whatever you're doing. We had such a great positive response from the earlier episode this week, which is one of my favorite yearly roundups, if you will. I had everybody call into the hotline, and it's our Absolutely Not line. If you're new to the podcast, I have an Absolutely Not line where you can call in and just bitch about anything. But this week was our post-Thanksgiving wrap-up, and honestly, I could have done a 6-hour episode, but we had so many great voicemails and so much unhinged shit that happened to so many of my listeners. I wanted to give you a bonus episode this week, so we'll make it short and sweet. We'll get right into it, but thank you guys for always being so supportive and calling into the hotline. But if you had some crazy drama happen to you over the holiday, keep calling into the hotline. I will keep adding the voicemails each episode that we go through up into Christmas, because I'm going to tell you this right now. It's only going to get wilder. Like, Thanksgiving was one thing, but the real religious holidays are coming up. So that is a time for everybody to really throw in their opinions and stir the fucking pot. But some of these voicemails, dude, were just fan-fucking-tastic. And, listen, I always say try and give yourself some grace. But we're all just trying to figure it out. We're all just trying to figure it the fuck out. But there's nothing better than putting a bunch of people that are blood-related and or not under one roof with copious amounts of alcohol and just saying, hey, everybody, try not to kill each other. All right, let's get into the voicemails. And I hope you enjoy this bonus edition of the podcast. But let's just get into it. Let's fucking get into it. Here we go. Here is the first voicemail.
Hey, Heather, this is Claire. I'll make it quick because I tried to call earlier and it got cut off. Absolutely not to cremating cats on Thanksgiving. Okay? This is my Thanksgiving write-in. So we went down to my boyfriend's family, my first time being there for the holiday. And you know what? First Thanksgiving there. His dad says to my boyfriend, hey, by the way, the cat died, and you got to tell your sister. We're down at darts, playing darts at the local country club basement with a Spanish teacher when he told us this. We're with a bunch of whatever. Anyways, so we tell his sister. She scream-cried on Thanksgiving, 2 hours about this cat. Then she finds out the cat's buried. She wanted the cat cremated. So we drive out in the dark at night, dig this cat up 7 feet under. We have to dig it up, bring it to the cremator. My first holiday with them. I'll spare you all the details because whatever. But anyways, my first holiday. You got any advice from me, Heather, on just digging up this cat, cremating cats on Thanksgiving? I just don't know. Is this a sign for the rest of my relationship? What do you think about this? Yeah. My boyfriend was nice as ever, though, and he was apologizing, so all the love to him. But anyways, Heather, what do you think about this? Love you, girl. I hope you had a good Thanksgiving. I love you so much. Come to Minneapolis soon. All right, bye.
Don't you know, I love Minneapolis, and I love this voicemail. I'm going to go ahead and tell you this right now. This soon-to-be sister-in-law, this sister of your boyfriend, she seems like a hot red flag. I mean, that is like Cheeto dust red. It is. She's going to be a fucking nightmare for the rest of your life, so buckle up. But as long as you go into this relationship any further, knowing what a liability she is, you're going to be fine. First and foremost, as I'm a cat lover, so this is not me being insensitive towards the cats, because I get it. I've had a cremated cat. We've had multiple cats. You know how many cats I've rescued over my 36 years of being on this earth? A fuck ton. Probably too many cats. Actually, if you statistically added it up, someone might go, that's too many fucking cats. We got a cat right now, Delta, who's just, 15 years strong, and she's the best. So I get it. I'm very empathetic towards cat owners. But let me tell you, first of all, the family, the way they went about everything was absolutely dead ass wrong. You don't tell the sister. You don't tell the sister till after. And if she's like, where's Kitty? Where's Mittens? Oh, Mittens needed to get, some vaccines, and they just wanted to keep her overnight for observations at the vet. That's what the family should have said. Mittens is somewhere else at the moment. They should not have told the daughter that Mittens was 7 feet under. All right? Because she clearly makes everything about herself anyways. Like, your boyfriend wasn't also going to be mourning Mittens? Of course he was. Like, mom and dad weren't going to be upset about Mittens, but no. No, of course it's the fucking sister who has a shit fit that Mittens, needed to be cremated rather than buried. Also, God forbid we just let Mittens rest in peace. God forbid we let the kitty cat just slowly decompose back into the earth the natural way in which it came. The circle of fucking life. But you got a sister. This sister, I'm sure, is named Rachel, and I'm sure your boyfriend warned you. He's like, listen, my sister Rachel's a fucking psycho. But you're like, how bad can she be? You know what I mean? And then you roll up. I think in the voicemail you said you were downstairs or you're at the country club playing darts with his Spanish teacher. I don't know what that relationship is. But you know what? Lo siento, mi español es muy malo. Regardless, I mean, my God. There are some things at the holidays you should bury deep. There were moments where I probably wanted to say something to somebody in my family, and I didn't. I buried it deep. Why? Because I want to digest my food in a non-stressful way. And I knew if I bitched at them, it would then make the acid reflux flare, and we'd be shit out of luck. I mean, you gotta pick your battles, people. So you're telling me this bitch causes a scene, then you guys got to drive out to the damn cemetery or the backwoods, wherever this poor kitty cat, rest in peace, is trying to do its final resting, because she's got to scoop it up to then cremate it. Now, I'm going to tell you this right now. One of my cats, God, rest in peace, Kramer. Rest in peace, Kramer. We had like a 30-pound cat. Kramer died. Okay, in the middle, it was like 2 a.m. and my mom and I were home. Jeff was in New York working, and he just laid down next to the litter box and just, and I walked in there. Well, no, my mom walked in there and was screaming. She goes, Heather, I think Kramer's dead. And I go in there, and there's a 30-pound cat. I mean, this thing looks like a damn Yosemite raccoon. And Kramer had his tongue out and his eyes open. And I said, fuck, he's dead. I mean, also very thoughtful of him just to conk out next to the litter box. So I got a big plastic bin, put him in it, and I called Jeff, panicked. I said, what do I do? He goes, you're going to go out in the backyard. You're going to bury Kramer. I'm like, it's 2 a.m. It is January. I'm not burying the cat right now. Also, the neighbors are going to think something is sus. Doesn't make sense. So I ended up putting him in a cool little, like a giant plastic bin. And it was cold enough in the garage, he would stay fresh. And I took him to the vet the next day. And it happened to be, what holiday was it? It was a cold holiday. Was it President's Day? MLK Day was something. And I went up to this real country vet. And they say, honey, we're not going to charge you. It's MLK Day. And nobody should have to bury their kitty on MLK Day. And I was like, thank you. The cat wasn't black. I'm just saying, like, the cat was tabby. And I just, regardless, I also say, you're right. You shouldn't have to bury anybody. We should be celebrating MLK Day. But the way she said it, she's like, I'm going to tell you this right now. Nobody should ever have to bury their kitty on MLK Day. I'm sorry for your loss. And I was like, thank you, ma'am. Thank you. You're right. Whether it be Flag Day, President's Day, or MLK Day, you should never have to bury your kitty. You know what you should also not have to do? Go to your boyfriend's house and have his unhinged sister make you unearth the body and then take it down to a vet and have to cremate. You know what I mean? I didn't know how to bury a cat, so I took it to the vet. And she said, nobody should ever have to get rid of their kitty on MLK Day. And I said, you're right. You're right. Absolutely. Absolutely. I'll tell you right now, this cat, you know who this cat, if this cat was not a cat and a human, would have merged with? MLK, and you get it. And she was a white woman too, and we both kind of looked at each other, and we were just like, this cat was not racist. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't know what to say. I was like, you're right. And I thought it was touching. I just didn't understand how that specific holiday translated to, the fact that wasn't acceptable for my cat to have died on that day. I didn't get the connection, but either way, I just said, yeah, it's any day of celebration of a beautiful life. And MLK was a great person. And I just thought, I'll never forget. She put her arm on my car and she goes, let me tell you right now, nobody should ever have to bury their kitty on MLK Day. Now you have a good one. You know what I mean? And she hit the side of my jet and I was like, you're right. Didn't charge me. And that's a woman of God. Now that's a fearless leader in your community. But of course, you've got this boyfriend and he's got a sister, Rachel. I mean, first of all, you're already eating poultry on Thanksgiving. You're a little kitty adjacent. You're a little kitty adjacent. And she's making the whole family. Also, side note, you couldn't have sat this one out. At no point could you have been like, hey, I'm uncomfortable going to unearth the dead cat. This is not my fight. This was y'all's family cat. I'm going to sit this one out and catch up on the housewives. I mean, I do think at some point you probably needed to have spoken up for yourself, but hindsight's always 2020. Or you're a freak like me and you're like, I want to go. I want to go see what's about to happen. Because again, when you have a crazy fucking sister-in-law or whatever, you're like, I don't want to deal with this. And you always bitch to your friends. You're like, oh, my sister-in-law is the worst. Or, oh, my boyfriend's sister or my boyfriend's brother, whomever, that one other relative is the worst. But secretly in your mind, you're kind of excited when they come over because you're like, this shit's about to be popping off. But dude, the parents fucked up. You never tell an unhinged sister named Rachel that the cat died at Thanksgiving. You wait for a random Tuesday. She's at work, or she's in nursing school, and you've already thought 6 ways to Sunday how she should never, ever be in charge of other humans because she can't physically and emotionally control her own feelings. So how is she going to give somebody a banana bag of IVs if they're dehydrated if she can't handle her own feelings? You know that she should have some sort of administrative job. She cannot and should not at any point be front-facing, forward-facing out to the general public. She's not ready for it. Or maybe on the flip side, she'll be a great nurse. But it's the interpersonal relationship she can't handle. I don't know. Maybe this future sister-in-law is one of those gals who will be great helping other people, but she can't help herself. I don't know. Maybe she's selfless and we need to give her a second chance. But either way, the cat being fucking cremated on Thanksgiving was a no. You know what? 2 dates. 2 dates you don't cremate cats. Thanksgiving and MLK. And if you do otherwise, you need to check yourself. What do you really believe in? Yeah, think about it. Wow. Nothing worse than cremating a fucking cat. I'll tell you what. It's dramatic. It's dramatic however which way you slice it. No pun intended. I didn't mean to say slice. Regardless. But I love that your boyfriend, listen, I do have to give you a little sage advice. He was embarrassed. He knew, give him some slack. He's been dealing with this shit his whole life. He's like, oh, good, Rachel. Make him feel good, but also just know this is probably going to haunt you for your entire life if you stay with them. But I hope you have a beautiful marriage. I hope you guys stick together. Let's get to the next voicemail.
Hi, Heather. This is Erin from Texas. I am in a Home Depot parking lot with my children while my husband's inside getting a plunger. A plunger, why do you ask?
Yeah.
It's because my father-in-law has come in town and he stopped up the toilet and tried to blame it on our 6-year-old. Yes, he blamed the doo-doo stopping up our toilet upstairs on the 6-year-old. Absolutely not to that. Happy Thanksgiving.
Hey, dear sister friend, I'm going to tell you right now, I would do the exact same thing. I do not blame your father-in-law. If you think that I, having a hard doo-doo would not blame a more youthful person in the home, then you must not know the kind of trickery and tomfoolery that I've been up to. I mean, listen, do you blame him? No. Did everybody know that grandpa did the doo-doo? Of course, we always know. When in doubt, if a pipe bursts, if there is some sort of plumbing issue in the home, we always know it's most likely going to be on the male side of the family. We automatically, and I hate to stereotype genders, but I'm going to go ahead and tell you it's usually because some male in the home had a hard shit. And it is. I'm not trying to be crass. Everybody knows this. I mean, we have a lot of bathrooms in our home, and that's not like a humble brag. It's just for some reason in our home, we have a lot of bathrooms, okay? And my husband would clog this one toilet in our basement. And it was like between the gym and my office. And I'd always just be like, there's a million. You already know that for some reason that this toilet is delicate. Why this one? During COVID, we had to have a plumber come out like 6 different times. And Jeff was just like, I like to shit in the basement. And also, if you're from Pittsburgh, shout out to all the Yinzers. Our buddy Cam told us that apparently it's a big Pittsburgh thing to just have a random toilet. Shout out to Josh McCouga too. He's from Pittsburgh. He also told us that there was always just a random toilet in an unfinished basement. Not 4 walls. It would just be in the middle of the room on a concrete slab. So if you're from Pittsburgh and you know about this random rogue basement toilet with no doors, not even a little spoolie for toilet paper. I guess you just had to kind of shake off and head to the Stillers game. But either way, some of y'all live a renegade life. And I love Pittsburgh, but that's insane. I mean, you're innovative with the steel, but my God, you don't even have a door to the toilet in the basement. But what is it with men in these basement toilets? And see, if you don't have a basement, if you live in like Arizona or someplace that doesn't have a basement, in Georgia, we all have basements. That's just how we live our life. And they're all finished. And if they're unfinished, you're poor. No, I'm kidding. But everybody has a finished basement. Okay, that's just what you do. Everybody in the South has a finished basement. That's where you hung out. Whose basement were you in? It was finished. It was nice. That's just what you did. You went to somebody's finished basement, but for some reason, everybody's dad, uncle, brother, cousin would blow up the finished basement bathroom. And it was like a rule of thumb. Like, that toilet is already fragile. I don't know why, but the basement toilet cannot handle the same as the one in the hall upstairs. They know the rules, but every time we're going through the same bullshit. Literally. But okay, let me get this straight. You're sitting in a Home Depot parking lot right now because your father-in-law wanted to blame it on the kid. I don't blame him. I don't blame him. I know it's an absolutely not. I know it's already, and you're telling your husband, like, your father needs to deal with this. And he's like, my dad takes hard shits. And ever since my mom left him, things haven't been the same. So you know what, Marie? Be a little kinder. Like, I already know the conversation that you're having in this Home Depot. And I don't know why I've made everybody either from Pittsburgh or New York. But, just your husband is trying to sympathize because he feels bad that the father-in-law is on his own because the mom left him because he probably drinks too much. Like, I get it. I get that chain of events. But just, you know what? Just let it go. Let it go. He clogged the toilet. Also, how do you not already have plungers? First thing I buy in a new place, a plunger. Do you know that one time I was in a hotel room with Jeff? We were like early dating, and I had a situation, and we were at a nice hotel, and I couldn't get the toilet to flush. And I was not about to call down to like the Ritz-Carlton. Like, I wasn't about to call housekeeping and say I need a plunger. So I went around to a CVS. And I bought a bunch of other stuff so I could cover it in the bags. Because, plunger's just awkward. How they haven't come up with one that's like, can be hidden. And so I'm walking around and I plunged the toilet, fixed the problem. And then I also bought a bath towel, like a beach towel at the CVS, and I wrapped up that plunger and I disposed of the plunger in a way that I will never be able to speak of. But that's because I wasn't about to ask for help. So I get it. I mean, there's a shame. There's a shame around, the things that happen to your body after having Thanksgiving. I really feel bad for your father-in-law. And remember, his wife left him. You got it. Honestly, go the other way. Show him a titty and say, it's okay. You know what I mean? Be a good person. Let's get to the next voicemail.
Hi, Heather. This is Sarah in San Diego. I have a Thanksgiving absolutely not for you. So, absolutely not to my stepdad asking my mom to make him a sandwich in the middle of her slaving away over Thanksgiving dinner.
Oh, yeah.
Like, read the room, Chad. Not the time to ask for a sandwich. Wait until dinner like the rest of us. I don't know what these men have the audacity of. But I just had to tell you. So anyways, hope you had a happy Thanksgiving. Hopefully Jeff's smoked duck was good.
It was great, yeah.
And I'm thankful for you and all the giggles you give me. Ciao from San Diego.
Ciao, my little San Diego angel baby. I'll tell you what, I've noticed this a lot, and obviously I'm married, but men's, and this is a man-friendly podcast, okay? I'm not here to shit on you guys. But there are days where I realize that Jeff does have such an inability to read the room. I'm like, how do you not know how to read the room? Read the fucking room. Read the fucking room. Read the room. We'll be at dinner with another couple, and I could tell there's tension with the other couple, and so I'll kind of kick Jeff under the table, and he's like, why are you kicking me? I'm like, read the fucking room, Jeff. Read the fucking room. Read the room. And it's this thing where guys really are, they have a one-track mind. They're concerned about what they're concerned about. And I have to constantly gently remind Jeff, hey, honey, okay, so your friends are coming in town. You need to A, make plans. You need to B, make dinner reservations. You need to just go ahead and be 3 steps ahead of this. Because that way, A, it'll cut out the middleman of them bitching that you didn't make any reservations. You know that they're going to be upset that you can't go to dinner where you want to go because you didn't think about it. Jeff does whatever is comfortable and convenient for him. Doesn't mean he's not loving. Doesn't mean he's not incredible. Doesn't mean he's not caring. But all men, most of my girlfriends, the number one thing they bitch about with their husbands is just that, like, well, whatever makes Tyler happy, whatever was convenient for Mark. And it's like women constantly are we're thinking outside of ourselves. I think it's a genetic thing. It's just how we work. But as long as men are comfortable, as long as men are getting what their needs are met, then you're fine. So for your stepdad, which is already such a stepdad thing to do, and he could be a great guy, but for him to come in and be like, hey, Toots, I'd love a pressed Cuban sandwich. I love a Cuban. You know what's difficult to make? A Cuban sandwich in the middle of preparing for Thanksgiving. Because you know what? Our ingredients you probably don't have in that moment? A specific French bread, pulled pork, ham, the perfect grain mustard, the exact Swiss or provolone cheese you need to make a Cuban. I love a Cuban. The pickles, all of it. Cubans are a very specific sandwich. And if your stepdad comes in while your mom is basting a turkey and says, I need a quick Cuban, that's when you got to pull your mom aside and go, it's a wrap. Even if you have a great relationship with your stepdad, you got to go, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. Read the room. I mean, women can have a problem with reading the room too. You always have that one, and it's usually our moms. I mean, everybody's bad at reading the room except me. I read the room hard. I go into a room and I encyclopedia that shit. Because I'm an empath. I don't know if you know this, but I feel the feelings. I can walk into a room and know exactly what's going on. I'm like, okay, this person hasn't shit in 3 days. She over here is upset because she's waiting for a phone call from her boss. It's probably nothing bad, but she's a little antsy. Okay, this one over here probably thinks that he should leave his wife, but he's not gonna for the kids. This one over here is, suffering because, they may have taken a pill. They don't want to tell anybody that they're about to have a panic attack, but the pill hasn't kicked in. The beta blocker hasn't kicked in, so they're a little on edge. I read it, dude, and that's not saying I'm better than you. It's not saying it's a gift, but I can read a room, dog. I can read a room. And I can go into a room and either choose to read it and then report, or I can choose just to set shit on fire. You know what I mean? But come on, there is nothing worse than, I was making this amatriciana the other day, which is my favorite pasta. I'm making this pasta, and Jeff comes in and he's like, have you seen my 4 cashmere sweaters that I bought at Nordstrom Rack the other day? And I'm like, I don't know. I can't think about that right now. And I will somehow come up with the correct answer. But in my heart of hearts, I'm like, why the fuck do you think in this moment with me cutting onions, making crispy guanciale pancetta, do you think that I now know the exact location of your cashmere sweaters that you bought on your time with your dime that had never at any point crossed grazed my hands? I have not touched them. I have not seen them. You texted me and said, hey, babe, I got 4 great cashmere sweaters at Nordstrom the other day. Thanks for reminding me to get, because they were on sale. I never saw them. You just texted me, told me you had them. But somehow I'm supposed to know where your fucking sweaters are while I'm trying to make the best pasta of our life so we could relive a memory of being in Rome at one of our favorite restaurants, holding hands together, looking in each other's eyes. But now I'm just pissed because you need me to know where your cashmere sweaters are, and I never even saw them. They could be ugly for all I know. I don't know. I don't have the answers. And I think as a woman, sometimes we're supposed to have the answers. And when we don't, that trips us up, right? Doesn't that trip us up a little bit? Think about it. You're a mom. You got a kid nagging at you today. Mom, asking you questions. Then when you get older, you have your mom asking you, when are you going to do this? Why are you doing this? What should you do with this? Where are you guys going? What are you doing? Are you going to get it? And it's the questions all the time. And it's like sometimes whether the kitchen is your domain, whether your art studio is your domain, whether you're on a power walk, maybe you're driving your Suburban with 15 kids and that's when you're in the zone, whatever that is. Maybe you're at your high fucking job at Google and you're in your office fucking closing deals. Maybe that's your domain. But when somebody comes in and asks you something random, like you want Chipotle and you're like, I can't handle this right now. Read the fucking room. I told y'all earlier this week on the podcast, like I had a nervous breakdown. That's what I should have yelled. Read the room. And my sweet husband's just like, are you good? But because he asked me, are you good? It just sent me into a tizzy. Read the room, dude. Read the energy. I'm elbow thick in gravy right now trying to make a damn delicious feast for your ass. Read the room. I can't answer questions. And some might say that that's being a cunt, but I just think it's called keep your eye on the prize and know that when the chef is behind the line, you don't come looking for cashmere. Period. Let's get into the next voicemail.
Hey, Heather, second time around here for my Thanksgiving. Absolutely not.
I love
but
it.
absolutely not to my father-in-law, saying that he would be grateful for grandchildren.
Ooh.
And at the table, I basically choked on my red wine, trying not to spit it up. And my husband and I just laughed and we moved on. And then like 10 minutes later, the same person, my husband's father, proceeded to throw a piece of turkey across the fucking table to the dog. Same person who's asking for grandchildren. I wonder why there's no children in the house, because it would be fucking chaos. And I know this because I'm married to his son, who still does not know how to put his fucking clothes away.
Yeah.
All right. Love you. Mean it.
Thank you for calling, sister friend. Okay, here's the deal. That's also a read the room. There's nothing worse, too, when you have that pressure, especially being at the holidays, especially everybody sitting down at the same table, and you've got any relative, whether it's an in-law, whether it's an aunt, a cousin, whomever, that says, you know what we'd be grateful for? Y'all to have babies. Y'all to have babies. And you know what my response is to when people say that? I grab the edge of the table and I go, the world is on fire. You know what would be really irresponsible? You know what would be really irresponsible? To bring more kids into this world. That'll fuck them up. That'll scare them. Even if you're like, you know, you can be thick into the fertility process. But I love it. I love when people say, I'd be grateful for grandkids. Would you? Would you? Oh, great. I also am trying to pay off grad school that you encouraged me to go to. You know what I mean? You forced me to become an attorney. You forced me to become a doctor. And now you be grateful for grandkids? I haven't even finished my residency. And now you be grateful for grandkids? Hey, Bill, why don't you cut me a check for $400,000? Because guess what? Orthodontist school is not exactly cheap. But I'm glad you'd be grateful for grandkids. You know, the audacity. And I have a lot of respect for my boomers, but we all know there's a couple rogue ones that have just, that the things that they are asking us for are just out of control. I asked my mom the other day, I'm like, Mom, do you want a grandkid? And she kind of looked at me and she's like, you've been really bitchy recently because you're overworked and overtired. So no, maybe if you take a cat nap, I'll take a grandkid, but you've been a real asshole. And I said, fair enough. She gets it. Thank God Robin gets it. You know what I'd be grateful for? Some grandkids. You know what I'd be grateful for? To be put under for about 3.5 hours. My sweet husband had a tiny little procedure the other day, okay? He had a little endoscope, which is where they take a tiny little camera, okay? No bigger than, I'd say, you know, a pair of these dingle dongles, and they put it down your throat. They do have to put you under anesthesia when they're doing it, so obviously you don't, like, choke or have a gag reflex and try and pull this thing out. So they're trying to figure out what was going on. My husband's getting, in a couple weeks, his deviated septum fixed. He has old hockey injury. The guy hasn't been able to breathe out of one side of his face for, like, 20 years. Anyways, long story short. So he's doing all this testing and stuff beforehand to see if there's any other issues. Now, my sweet, sensitive angel baby husband got really emotional, a little choked up even. And I hope well, yeah, I'm already sharing it, so tough titties. He was so cute. He was so sensitive. He had a little tear rolling down his cheek when I was taking him in. I said, honey, why are you crying? Why are you upset? And he's like, I just love you a lot. And if I don't wake up from this, I love you. Like, I just want you to know I love you. And I said, I love you more than anything. So tender. Now, Jeff has this traumatic experience of going under. When he was 7 years old, he was getting his like tonsils out or something, or his wisdom teeth. And he says it took him too long to come out of anesthesia. And I've done everything the past couple of days to prepare him for this procedure. I said, honey, now I want you to think about this, a core memory when you're little. Think about how hard and difficult it is for little kids to come out of a nap, period. You know, think about when we're waking up our friends' kids and, they're all groggy. They're groggy, period. So imagine then also being under anesthesia as a child and then waking up from that nap. Of course, you probably felt panicked. I said, Jeff, you're a 36-year-old adult. You got this. You're going to go under anesthesia. You're going to be fine. We roll up to the doctor's appointment, and everybody in there was either getting a colonoscopy or an endoscopy. So everybody in there is like 65 and up. And I said, Jeff, you're the strongest soldier in here. Okay, everybody, the median age range right now in this waiting room is like 84. I said, you got this. I'm trying to make him laugh. We were laughing our asses off. I said, I walked him through it, and finally I got frustrated because he still was just being anxious about it, which I know was not the way to go about it, but I finally shook him and I go, I would love to go under anesthesia for 4 hours where no one could bother me and nobody could ask me a single question and I could just feel restful. I love anesthesia. I went under anesthesia when I had to get my eggs taken out when we were doing IVF, and you know what? It was blissful. So just take the pills, take the drugs, and go night-night. And he literally was looking at me and he was like, okay, bitch, fine. And I literally said, woman the fuck up, Jeff. 10 minutes later, not even 10 minutes later, they bring me back. I walk into the recovery room and he's bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. I said, how do you feel? And he goes, that was so easy. That was easy. And I was like, yeah, it was easy because I just gave you a Tony Robbins speech in the car. But finally, at some point as a woman, you wear so many hats, you just get frustrated and you're like, I would love to be put under propofol and just sleep for 4 hours. I would love to not have my phone blow up with questions from a million people or a million people needing things from me. I would love to go night-night. I'd love it. I would love it. And Jeff's like, that, you know what? It was kind of relaxing and it's like you felt like you were only under for 5 seconds. And I'm going through the checklist in my mind of all the things that I had told him before he went under, which were these things that he's now saying. And I said, I said all those things. He's like, oh, you did? Oh, like it was an original thought. And I'm pushing him in the wheelchair to the car because he's a little, just a touch of groggy. And I was like, I'm going to kill him. I'm just going to kill him. I'm going to kill him. And it's not that Jeff is not equally as encouraging or calms me down, but there are days where like the amount of encouraging I give to him to calm him down, to make him feel at ease, to make sure he feels comfortable, and I could be really nervous about something. He's like, oh, you got it, babe. You're going to be fine. Oh, please, you got it. I'll stop. He loves to do that. I'll stop. You're going to be fine. Meanwhile, this guy's, I thought he was going to make a run for it. I literally thought it's like a bride running at the altar. We're pulling up to this hospital, and I thought he was going to literally dart out of the car for a minor procedure. I said, honey, somebody right now in this moment is being ripped tip to taint giving birth. Somebody is having open heart surgery. Somebody just got mangled in a car accident. God forbid. Like, they're not even cutting you open. They're sticking a little tiny camera while you're snoozing for 3.5 minutes. I said, woman the fuck up. And then he had the audacity to be like, that felt like it only lasted 3 seconds. I'm like, I just said that. I just fucking said that. And I said, where'd you hear that from? He's like, I don't know, original thought. And I was like, I'm going to kill you. So anyways, all of that being said, I love when the father-in-law is like, I'd be grateful for some grandkids. You're like, I got to deal with your son who isn't able to go under. Who isn't able to go under minor anesthesia, and you want me to somehow get pregnant, deal with my body stretching from here to high heaven, and then literally having at some point possibly my asshole falling out. And I know your son so well that he'll be in the corner being like, I'm going to be sick. I'm going to be sick. I don't do well with needles. I'm like, you're not getting the needles. I am. My mom said that when she was in the hospital, giving birth to my sister who's older, the anesthesiologist comes in to do the epidural. And my dad's hysterically crying. And she turns to my dad and she goes, "Why are you crying?" And he just goes, "We're getting a needle. We're getting a needle." And she's like, "You're not. I am." And the needle's this long. And my dad was hysterical. "We're getting a needle. We're having the baby." And my mom's like, "Yeah, you're here, but I'm doing it. Relax." You know? Oh, of course you would, Bill. We'd be really grateful for, I would love a child. Great. Well, then if you want to pay off all my student loans, and this is, I'm making a metaphorical father-in-law. If you want to pay off sweet Emily's student loans, you know, she's in orthodontist school, trying to pass the bar. Maybe she's in law school. I don't know. Maybe she owns a tire empire. I don't know what she does. But yes, if you want to maybe give them a down payment for a house, because right now we're doing Thanksgiving in the apartment. Yes, then you could get a grandchild. I mean, the audacity of some of these parents. You know, the things they ask for, I'm like, but you can afford them. All right, you want a grandchild? Cut us a quick check and say, "I'll pay for school." Something. My God, pitch in, Bill. Pitch in. I would love a grandkid. Yes, and I would like for your son not to shit his pants every time they got to draw blood at our annual primary care physician checkup. You know what I mean? Yeah, I would love for your son not to have to stay home from work for 6 days for when he gets quote unquote diarrhea. Take a Pepto or an Imodium and get back on the job. Clock in, because you know what? When I'm on a raging period and I'm just shitting all over the place, I don't get a day off. All right. So yeah, you'd love a grandkid. Yeah. Well, I would love not to deal with your son either. Okay. Riddle me this. Let's get to the next voicemail.
Hi, Heather. Kelly from Indiana. My absolutely not this Thanksgiving is my husband waking up at 4:30 on Black Friday to go shopping like it's 2017.
Yeah.
And he has to wait in lines at 6 a.m. when there's nobody out there. So 3 Home Depots later, he comes home empty-handed and realizes that he didn't need to get up that early. So I hope you had a good Thanksgiving. I'm tired. And light and love. Bye.
Light and love, love and light. I mean, anybody still doing the hardcore in-person Black Friday shopping, good for them. I gotta say though, you know what? If you still somehow secretly know these deals, good for you. But let's talk about Black Friday shopping. Remember back in the day, you would line up outside of a Best Buy and you were just fighting for a flat screen TV. Fighting. People would camp out. They'd be on rotation. You had the whole family involved. They would set up little mini TVs so they could watch the Seahawks game. You know what I mean? People would bring them a potluck while they're sitting outside because they're like, dude, Uncle Jesse's holding it down outside of the Best Buy. They're only, and you know, you would literally be sitting at Thanksgiving dinner and, you know, Uncle Jesse's taking one for the team, for the whole family. And he's already been camping outside of the Best Buy. And you're like, wait, hold on. Everybody shut the fuck up. Uncle Jesse's calling the home line. And then you would put the home line, you'd hold it up, but because you didn't have speakerphone. And you're like, Jesse, what'd they say? How many are you allowed to get? And he's like, guys, I got bad news. They said 2 per person. And everyone's like, no, we all need a new flat screen. No. Remember when they put limits on things you could get on Black Friday? That used to be the jam. Now, my family was too lazy. I got to be honest with you. Robin would go line up at a Target, but when it came to electronics, she was like, forget it. I mean, she's at a Lowe's right now or a Home Depot trying to get us a new microwave because our microwave became demon-possessed during Thanksgiving. It just started going, was on a 30-minute timer. We couldn't open the door. We couldn't stop it. We had to turn off the breaker. Like, it literally became demon-possessed. So, but everybody had that one family member who he loved a challenge. It was always an Uncle Jesse, a Jerry, you know, Uncle Josh. It was always something like that. And dude, back in the early 2000s when you would line up outside of a Best Buy 2.5 months before Black Friday was a fucking rush. You remember the videos of people going into Walmart? Oh, dude, remember Tickle Me Elmo? For my younger generation, that does not know about this Tickle Me Elmo. Let me see. When did Tickle Me Elmo? What year Tickle Me Elmo year? What year did that come out? Dude, 1996. All right, here's a fun fact. Tickle Me Elmo was released July 1996 with a supply of 400,000 units. The dolls sold well and remained widely available in stores until the day after Thanksgiving, when they suddenly sold out. With Christmas shopping season approaching, Tyco Preschool ordered 600,000 more dolls from their suppliers. I remember seeing like Channel 2 Action News doing a report about moms beating the shit out of each other outside of a Walmart or a Kmart. Y'all remember a Kmart? Damn, the Kmart layaway was the best thing on the planet. But regardless, it was an Elmo toy, and you would grab the toy and it would tickle me Elmo. It was actually quite creepy. But kids had to have this fucking Elmo, and they did a soft launch. Let's use some updated terminology. What Tyco, which was the company who did it, Tyco Preschool did a soft launch in July 1996. So then by the time Christmas came around, and these moms had gotten wind, it came downwind that this was the hottest toy in the game. I'm going to tell you, I remember vividly 96. I was in the 3rd grade. Yep, because 96 is when we had the Olympics here in Atlanta. Summer Games, 96. I remember, and I was too old for a Tickle Me Elmo. I'm already on to Spice Girls memorabilia and shit. I was too old. But I remember, it was Fox 5. It was Channel 2 Action News. It was 11 Alive. Every local station was outside of a Kmart, a Walmart, a Target. And they were like, 7 moms. 7 moms got in a brawl over it, the last Tickle Me Elmo. And you would see footage of grown women. It didn't matter what race, religion, creed, spirituality, sexuality you were. Everybody, all hands on deck, were equally fighting over the same fucking toy. And it was wild. I mean, you thought it was a scene from Braveheart or from Gladiator. And you see 2 moms, one Latina woman, one Asian lady, and they're just screaming, ripping these toys apart. And the managers of the Kmart would be outside just screaming like, we don't know what the fuck is going on. And then you'd see some bitch, you'd see a Karen, a white privileged Karen. They'd take the camera crew to the back of the Kmart, and somehow, because she had used her privilege, she had paid off a couple of the stock boys, and she's got her Toyota van. Y'all remember those very specific Toyota vans that look like spaceships? They were just like very rectangular and cylindrical at the same time. And she'd be just like looking at the stock boys like, put them in. And the camera crew would be like, ma'am, how many Tickle Me Elmos do you have? And she would be in like a Lily Pulitzer, but it would be a Lily Pulitzer paisley Christmas sweater with the jingle jangle around her neck. And she'd be like, I'll never tell. And then there'd be another, 60-minute report with our white women stealing the Tickle Me Elmos from, the diversity in Kmart, and you're just like, what is happening? And then a month and a half later, these kids were like, fuck these toys. Yeah. If you never lived through the Tickle Me Elmo Black Friday extravaganza, you didn't know. What are some other things? Let me look up real quick. Most fought over Black Friday history. Okay, so this is Black Friday through the years. This is the top 10 toys that people would... Oh, Beanie Babies, duh. Dude, you already know. I'm not going to repeat myself, but if you're just tuning into the podcast for the first time, I used to buy Beanie Babies out of a white van on the side of Lawrenceville Highway, which is kind of sketchy in Georgia, and my mom didn't think twice about it. We used to pull up to this guy's van. His name was Ron, and we would buy Beanie Babies from him. Insane. All right, what's another toy? Ooh, dude, Sky Dancers. All right, this has a list of the top 10 things that people would fight over. Okay, if y'all don't remember what a Sky Dancer was, and again, these are very nostalgic. It was this toy. It looked like a fairy, and you would pull this string, right? Like pull almost like a yo-yo string, and she would spin up, and she would launch. She would launch off, and she would dance through the sky, kind of like a boomerang, and you'd go grab her. She would just kind of fall in a bush. And then you go grab her and you put her back on the thing and you'd wind her up again and she would sky dance. Yeah. Bunch of white moms fighting over a sky dance. Tickle Me Elmo's on there. Dude, remember Toys R Us? Remember FAO Schwartz? You knew you were a rich Home Alone kid if you got to go to FAO Schwartz. Toys R Us, Pokemon Go. Now, I was never a Pokemon kid, but I was a Pogs kid. And if y'all don't know what Pogs are almost like these little silver dollars, and you throw them down, and whatever Pogs flipped over, that's the Pogs you got to keep. It taught kids early gambling. It was pretty great. Oh, dude, when PlayStation 2 came out, I mean, we already live in such a materialistic, consumerism society. But when you actually had to put hand over fist, foot in front of the other to go fight somebody in a Best Buy parking lot, that's honestly when I think humanity was actually thriving at its best. Because nowadays, everybody hides behind the screen. Oh, you got a lot of words, you're going to hide behind the screen? Back in the day, you used to show up outside of a Toys R Us ready to, fight. And the kids would be involved. Dude, if you had a teenager that was, or like a preteen, like if you had an 11-year-old son and you're trying to get a PS2, you're like, listen, I already told you Santa's not real, okay? You're 11. You should have known this a long time ago. Regardless, if you want this PS2, me and your dad are going to fucking fight. So are you ready? And the kid's got a baseball helmet on and he's like, let's fucking go. And the whole family threw bows and it brought people together. I'm not saying that the violence to buy the bullshit was okay, but was it a great way to family bond? It was. And at the end of the day, do you always look at your Uncle Jesse a little bit different? You're like, that was a soldier, man. Yeah, he may have never been to Afghanistan or Kuwait, but you know what? He camped outside of that Best Buy for flat screen TVs for like 3.5 months. And if that isn't a sacrifice, then I don't know what is. I don't know what is. Dude, the Bratz dolls. Again, Bratz dolls, before my time. I was in college when Bratz dolls came out, but 2003, Bratz dolls, high ticket item. Anything Harry Potter, forget it. But they're saying the number one, Beanie Babies and Tickle Me Elmo. And listen, ma'am, I'm sorry. I'm making it about me and these core memories. But yeah, I mean, I love that your husband got up at 4:30 for what? Everything's digital. But sometimes you need that rush. You need that nostalgic rush to put your hands on the toy, to put your hands on the electronics, to, go to Costco, look at the fridges. Do you need a fridge? No. But do you want one just because it's 40% off? Yes. You want to know why? Because that big man, big pharma, they've tricked us. The fridge on sale is actually the regular price of the fridge. But why is it that we get such a high shopping together? I'm telling you what, I didn't even know that I needed a Costco run today, but I think I'm going to get out of here. I got a Costco exclusive club membership. Yeah, I'm executive platinum at Costco. And I think I'm just going to go. I'm going to see. I'm gonna gauge from the outside, but I think I might go in there and just buy some patio furniture. I don't need to feel alive. I'm not even angry, but I might tussle with a bitch, over some flannel pajamas just to do it. And that's okay. Sometimes I think you got to get back to your roots in order to turn around and be prepared for the future. That made no fucking sense. But regardless, you're going with it. You know where I'm going. But I love that your husband got up at 4:30, spent all day. He probably just wanted to get away from you for a couple hours. Let's be real. But I love that he needed that nostalgic moment. Maybe he was missing a loved one and he was reminded of the times that he and Uncle Jesse would hang out in that tent together for a couple months. That's why he failed 8th grade. And his parents kept saying, you got to go to school. Let Uncle Jesse do what he's got to do outside the Best Buy. It's a little weird. You guys are in that tent together. But regardless, you were like, no. Your husband needed that moment because Uncle Jesse was actually a great guy. And he said, you know what? Honey, you never knew this, but one year Uncle Jesse, he got me the PS2. He didn't even keep it for himself. Then your husband slowly sits on the edge of the bed and cries about how much he misses his Uncle Jesse. And you know what? In order to be a good partner and a spouse, you put your arms around your husband. You go, honey, if you want to go fight a bitch in a Costco parking lot, and he's like, I thought you'd never ask. And that's a beautiful moment. I hope you guys enjoyed this bonus episode. I love going through these voicemails. You guys, as always, make me laugh my ass off. We've got only a couple more weeks till the end of the year, wrapping up. Let me know what's on your Christmas list. Let me know what you're gearing up and emotionally going towards for the other holiday, the biggest holiday, Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, all of it. We're doing the most. I'm here for you. I love you. As always, you can call into the hotline 800-213-7503. I hope you enjoyed this little audible bonus episode. We're also on the YouTubes today. You're welcome. Okay. My skin is broken out, but I was willing to put myself on camera for this bonus one. So I love you. I mean it. I will see you on the next episode of the Absolutely Not podcast. As always, call into the hotline. I'll see you around. Oh, and side note, remember, get your tickets for the shows that are coming up in the spring. I'm back on the road in January. Get your tickets at heatherontour.com. If you need a great gift, that's what to get. heatherontour.com. I will see you in Australia. I will see you in Florida, Salt Lake City. I'm coming back to Lexington, Kentucky. I'm going to be all over. Get your tickets at heatherontour.com. I'll see you on the next episode of the Absolutely Not podcast. Ciao bella, arrivederci.